Let me tell you something nobody wants to hear. 90% of people will never build real wealth. Not next year, not in 10 years, never. And here's the scariest part. Most of them have absolutely no idea why. They work hard, they save a little, they try their best, but at the end of every month, the number in their bank account barely moves. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why that happens. Not the vague, generic reasons you've heard 1,000 times, but the real root causes backed by hard data from the Federal Reserve, the World Inequality Report 2026, and research from Moody's Analytics. And more importantly, I'm going to show you exactly how to be part of the other 10%. Let's get into it. First, let's look at the numbers, because they will permanently change the way you see the world. According to the Federal Reserve's Q3 2025 report, the top 1% of Americans now hold 31.7% of all national wealth. That's a record high, the highest level since the Fed started tracking this data back in 1989. Let me put that into perspective. 1% of the population, roughly 3.3 million people, own more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. But that's not even the most shocking number. The World Inequality Report 2026, compiled by over 200 global researchers, just revealed this. Just 56,000 people on this planet, a number that would fit inside one football stadium, own more wealth than 2.8 billion people combined. Read that again. 56,000 people against 2.8 billion people. And this gap isn't staying still. Since the 1990s, billionaire wealth has grown at roughly 8% per year, while the bottom 50% of the population has seen their wealth grow at less than half that speed. The rich are getting richer faster. The poor are falling further behind every single year. So the real question is, why? And more importantly, what do you do with this information? Here is the first and most fundamental reason. 90% of people are playing a game they cannot win. That game is called trading time for money. Think about this. You work 8 hours. You get paid. You spend. You work again. Every day, every month, every year. You are selling your time, the only resource you can never get back, in exchange for money. What's the problem? You only have 24 hours in a day. No matter how hard you work, you cannot create more time, so your income is capped by the number of hours you can physically work. Meanwhile, the other 10% are playing a completely different game. They don't trade time for money. They let money work to make more money, dividends, investment returns, passive income, income-generating assets. This is what Warren Buffett calls making money while you sleep. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. That's the brutal truth nobody teaches you in school. The second reason, and this one frustrates me the most, is because it's incredibly simple to understand, but almost nobody applies it. Albert Einstein once called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He said, "He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it." Look at this number. If you invest $200 every month, starting at age 25, into an index fund with an average 10% annual return, how much do you have at age 65? $1.27 million from a total out-of-pocket investment of just $96,000 over 40 years. Compound interest created over $1.1 million for you without you doing anything extra. But here's the part everyone skips. If you wait until age 35 to start, same monthly investment, same return rate, you only end up with $440,000 at age 65. A 10-year delay cost you over $830,000, not because you invested less, not because you were less intelligent, simply because you started 10 years later. This is why 90% of people never build wealth. It's not that they don't have enough money. They don't have enough time because they started too late. The third reason is the invisible enemy. It doesn't knock on your door. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't leave an obvious trace. But every single day, it is quietly destroying your wealth. Its name is inflation. Here's how it works in real life. You have $10,000 sitting in a savings account earning 3.5% per year. Sounds decent. You're earning $350 in interest, but inflation is running at 4.5% per year. The result? You're not making money. You're actually losing $100 in purchasing power every year without spending a single dollar. And here's what's even more alarming. Most people don't realize this is happening because the number in their account is going uppy. But what they can actually buy with that money is going down. Wealthy people understand this. That's why they don't let money sit idle in the bank. They invest in assets that grow faster than inflation, stocks, real estate, businesses, while 90% of people are perfectly comfortable with bank interest rates, thinking they're saving safely. The fourth reason, and this one rarely gets spoken about directly, 90% of people don't understand the difference between good debt and bad debt. Bad debt takes money out of your pocket. Credit cards at 25% interest, consumer loans, financing the latest smartphone. You're borrowing money to buy something that loses value over time. Good debt puts money into your pocket. Borrowing to buy a rental property that generates cash flow. Borrowing to invest in a business that creates income. Borrowing at a lower interest rate than the investment return you receive. Wealthy people use debt as a tool. 90% of people use debt as a trap. Look at this number. The average American pays over $1,000 per year just in credit card interest. $1,000 every year. Over 30 years, that's $30,000 that simply vanished. But what if that same money was invested in the S&P 500 instead? At a 10% annual return over 30 years, you would have an additional $180,000 in your investment portfolio. Bad debt doesn't just take your money today, it robs you of your future wealth. This is the reason fewest people talk about. But it might be the most important one. Warren Buffett once said, "The best investment you can make is in yourself." And he is absolutely right. 90% of people spend all their free time watching TV, scrolling social media, or consuming passive entertainment. The other 10% use that time to read books about finance and investing, learn new skills that generate higher income, build relationships with successful people, develop a healthy mindset around money. The difference isn't that they're smarter than you. The difference is they choose to use their time differently. Think about this. If you read just one finance book per month, after 1 year, you've read 12 books. After 5 years, 60 books. You will understand money and investing better than 95% of the population, and that knowledge will help you make better investment decisions that create hundreds of thousands of dollars of difference over your lifetime. The sixth reason is the number one cause of investment losses, not the market, not the economy, not bad luck, emotions. Here's what happens with 90% of amateur investors. The market goes up. They get excited. They buy more at high prices. The market drops. They panic. They sell at low prices. Buy high, sell low. This is the formula for losing money, and they repeat it over and over. Meanwhile, smart investors do the exact opposite. When the market drops and everyone panics, they buy more because they understand that a price drop is an opportunity, not a disaster. Warren Buffett famously said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful." This isn't just a clever quote. This is the strategy that helped him become one of the wealthiest people in history. So, controlling your emotions in investing is not easy, but it is the single skill that creates the greatest difference between the 90% and the 10%. All right, now let's talk about the most important part. How do you get into the other 10%? Step 1. Start today, not tomorrow. Remember the compound interest example. A 10-year delay equals losing over $830,000. The day you start investing matters more than any other investment decision you will ever make. Even if you only have $100 to start today. Step 2. Automate your savings and investments. Don't rely on willpower. Willpower will fail. Automated systems won't. Set up an automatic transfer of a portion of your income into your investment account every month before you have the chance to spend it. Step 3. Invest in assets that grow faster than inflation, S&P 500 index funds, diversified ETFs, rental real estate. Stop letting money sit in the bank, losing purchasing power every month. Step 4. Eliminate bad debt immediately. High-interest credit card debt is the #1 enemy of wealth building. Pay off bad debt before you think about investing. Step 5. Continuously invest in your financial education. Read at least one finance book per month. Follow channels like Capital Lens every week. Knowledge is the highest returning asset you can own. Step 6. Stay consistent and never let emotions drive your decisions. Markets will drop. There will be bad years, but history shows us those who consistently invest for the long term always get rewarded. Let's recap the 6 reasons why 90% of people never build wealth. 1. They trade time for money instead of letting money work for them. 2. They don't harness the power of compound interest, and they start too late. 3. They let inflation silently destroy their purchasing power every day. 4. They use debt as a trap instead of a tool. 5. They don't invest in themselves and their financial education. 6. They let emotions control their investment decisions. Now you know all of this. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Because here is the final truth I want to leave you with. Wealth is not luck. Wealth is not a talent you're born with. Wealth is the result of making the right decisions consistently over a long enough period of time. You now have the knowledge. You know the mistakes to avoid. You know the steps to take. There's only one thing left. Take action. If this video opened your eyes to a new perspective on money and wealth, hit that like button. It helps more people access this information. Subscribe to Capital Lens because every week we break down the financial knowledge that actually makes a difference. And drop a comment below. Out of those 6 reasons, which one is currently holding your finances back the most? I read every single one. Until next time, remember, wealth starts with the decision you make today.